Hi guys and gals, my name is David Webster, and I host Facebook's Living Off the Grid. And I wanted to give a personal take and a personal opinion on what's happening in the country at this time. We're dealing with a lot of frustrated Americans with our political system, and many people who feel that their candidates aren't being heard. We've got what seems to be corruption in politics continuously. And I want to address the more specific areas of problems that cause a lot of what we're dealing with today. Specifically, we've been struggling with racial and policing issues in the states. Aggressive, oppressed peoples are lashing out and taking lives. They lash out because they don't know where the problem comes from. The system is putting law enforcement at risk, and nobody seems to know why or what to do about it. I hope to shed some light on the source of these problems and give direction as to how to alleviate some of the tension. Wherever you live, there are reasons people choose to live in a city. Often, work is the deciding factor, and living too far away from a job requires a commute that either gets expensive, costs too much, free time, or both. When I was 2 years old, my father made a decision that today I'm very thankful for. He worked in El Segundo, California, driving gasoline tankers. He put in for a transfer to the Northwest and wanted to raise me in the wilderness. While he waited for that transfer, he moved us to the mountains and drove 100 miles each day to work. Though Eugene, Oregon didn't come through, a year or so later, he took a transfer to Colton, California, and his commute shortened to 25 minutes each way. And so I grew up at 5,200 feet elevation, 1 mile high in the San Bernardino Mountains. There, I had all the space I needed. Back then, cars were bigger. Bench seats meant you could sit next to mom and dad. I think I was steering mountain roads at about 5 or 6 years old and driving by 12. After all, most of the time, you never saw another car on the road. We had a sheriff who went to our church. I remember his wife was one of the sweetest ladies I ever met, and she treated everyone with such kindness. Maybe she needed to make up for the times her husband was stern with a member of the congregation for doing donuts in the snow or stealing a Christmas tree from an angry neighbor's yard. Nevertheless, my point is, I can count on one hand the times I saw a police car wandering in the mountains over 16 years. We didn't want to be bothered. As a 12-year-old riding my dirt bike down the street, if I kept quiet, the neighbors wouldn't complain and the cops wouldn't be called. They didn't patrol for unruly kids. They waited for someone to call in. Fast forward to adult life in Sapulpa, Oklahoma. The county sheriff is there, the state patrol has cars there, and the local police department has cars there. You can't leave home and come back without seeing 8 or 10 police cars. There are a lot of different rules and different jails depending on who pulls you over and who picks you up. They are always tailing somebody and pulling someone over, and there is a high financial motivation to do so. I helped a family who was working for me at the time. They had been targeted by law enforcement for driving junky cars. I saw firsthand how small-town judges paid their salaries by fines they collected from the poor. They dare not pull me over, or I would sue the city broke. But they sure preyed on those who couldn't afford to fight. When the local judge figured out I would be right down to get Charlie out when they took him in, she just said, "I don't know what you see in this boy, or why you're helping him." I would tell her that nobody paints pianos like Charlie Brown. Charlie had been pulled over and fined in one town, and had a warrant for not paying that picked him up in another town. If you went to jail in Sapulpa, there was no bail, and you could only get out on Tuesday or Thursday when the part-time judge was there. Even if you had a warrant, you could only stay a 10-day maximum. Then they let you out and were free to pick you up again. If you went to county, it could cost you, but you could get out faster with a little bit of money. I heard Charlie's wife cry more times over the phone because there was nothing she could do until Tuesday, and the 8.5-month pregnant mother-to-be had water and heat cut off in -5-degree weather because she couldn't pay the bills alone. This is the kind of oppression that happens to people when the police have a right to press charges upon someone who has harmed no one. There are too many police of one sort or another in concentrated areas, and their primary job is collections. And this causes huge oppression. It's like the road into and out of the police station can easily become practice grounds for traffic citations, and that kind of oppression should be dispersed. The fact is, the problem begins with money. Where does the money come from? Property tax paying citizens pay the bills in the city usually, that and sales tax. We all hear about quotas. How does that happen? There should never be any kind of financial motivation in the policing system for any type of quota. If they collect fine money, it goes back to the people, or to a place the people select. That should never be funds for the department that collects it. That's where the trouble begins. If you think that shooting a police officer is the way to stop this, you're wrong. The way to stop a rogue town with too many officers, too many judges, too many contractors bribing the city council members for handing off a big road construction job is to stop paying them. If you're angry, band together with citizens on something like the Nextdoor app and stop paying property taxes until it's fixed. Refuse to do business with local stores who pay tax to the city. The key is to harm the pocketbooks and reduce the budgets of overly empowered bureaucrats so that the size of government is reduced substantially. That's hitting them in the jugular. If it takes them 4 years to foreclose on a house for delinquent property taxes, make them sit 4 years without any funding. By then, everybody will walk out and you can start with a new system in town. Think of Disney World. When you drive onto their property, they consider you a paying customer. So if you're speeding and they pull you over, it's for your safety and not a money-making generator. They know they'll make lots of money off you if you're happy. They call you sir and treat you with respect and dignity, apologetically asking you to slow down and please be safe. The same goes for any town. An officer's job should be to make the citizens and visitors happy and help them to feel safe. Encourage a good time in town where they will spend their money. Only when another citizen is harmed or complains, that citizen should be obligated to come down and press charges. Otherwise, no infraction can be imposed by a public servant. No speeding fine, no tail light out, no missed traffic signal is grounds for a servant to impose fines or to warn. It is grounds to apologetically notify of danger. Sir, I'm sorry to trouble you, but I couldn't help but notice you sped through the red light. Is there any urgency I can help you with or a problem? If not, please take care. You might be risking others' lives with such action. And go on their way. Someone who felt endangered could take time to press charges for endangerment and maybe receive a portion of the fine. The Huffington Post recently wrote a story on how a police department should be run more like a fire department, where they come running only when called. That also makes a whole lot of sense. I'm David Webster, and I thank you for listening to my point of view. I know there are a lot of other positions to be taken out there, and there are a lot of things to address. And, you know, considering here in America we have 30,000 plus towns and counties that each run their own way. And sometimes, if you want things to run your way, you might just have to start your own town. And that's how things work around here. Have a great day. I appreciate your time.